The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The tax collectors and the sinners were all seeking the company of Jesus to hear what he had to say. And the Pharisees and the scribes complained. "This man," they said, "welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he spoke this parable to them. A man had 2 sons. The younger said to his father, "Father, let me have the share of the estate that would come to me." So the father divided the property between them. A few days later, the younger son got together everything he had and left for a distant country where he squandered his money on a life of debauchery. When he had spent it all, that country experienced a severe famine, and now he began to feel the pinch. So he hired himself out of one of the local inhabitants, who put him on his farm to feed the pigs. And he would willingly have filled his belly with the husks of the pigs were eating, but no one offered him anything. Then he came to his senses and said, "How many of my father's paid servants have more food than they want, and here I am dying of hunger. I will leave this place and go to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as one of your paid servants.' So he left the place and went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with pity. He ran to the boy, clasped him in his arms, and kissed him tenderly. Then his son said, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the calf we have been fattening and kill it. We are going to have a feast, a celebration, because this son of mine was dead and he's come back to life. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now the elder son was out in the fields on his way back. As he drew near the house, he could hear music and dancing. Calling one of the servants, he asked what it was all about. 'Your brother has come,' replied the servant, 'and your father has killed the calf we had fattened because he has got him back safe and sound.' He was angry then and refused to go in. And his father came out to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I have slaved for you and never once disobeyed your orders. Yet you never ordered me so much as a kid for me to celebrate with my friends. But for this son of yours, when he comes back after swallowing up your property, he and his woman, you killed the calf he had been fattening.' The father said, 'My son, you are always with me, and all I have is yours. But it was only right we should celebrate and rejoice, because your brother here was dead and has come to life. He was lost and is found.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Jesus, in his lifetime, scandalized many people who were close to him, beginning with the Pharisees and the scribes, who most of all complained and criticized him for welcome sinners and eats with them. This scandal of his way of behaving remained for many years, even in the first Christian community. In fact, even the name to this parable, which is, by the way, the longest parable that Jesus spoke, out of the 40, he said, it was named the prodigal son, giving almost all the fault to the younger son and blacklisting him. Little importance to the Father of love, of mercy. While this parable should be rightly called the parable of the Father's love. Father's love. That's how it should be called. So much so that in the early Christians it was even left out to be read in community meetings, because the love of God could not be accepted so much. If you have sinned, God must be angry with you, and you don't merit forgiveness. It wasn't accepted. As sometimes we behave too, that yes, I forgive. I forgive maybe the second time. I forgive the third time. But no, the fourth time is too much. I cannot forgive you now. I cannot. It's too much. We behave like that, even with members of our families. And I tell you, this same parable is happening in many, many, many families. Today, I had the experience of it recently, of a son left out or sent out by his parents. If he has an addiction, he left out on his own with his addiction to fight the addiction. The worst thing a parent can do, send him out, or don't want to discuss, or to forgive him. It happens every day. And so we need, in the very short time we have, to consider quickly these three main figures that we have in the parable, and the lesson we need to accept and to receive in our own lives. That accept that the person or the personality and the star, so to say, of the gospel, of this parable, is not the younger son or the eldest son, but the Father with his mercy and with his forgiveness. Let's start with the son. The son, one moment of his life, the younger son, he said, Father, I want my inheritance. Remember, this is already a sword in the heart of the father who heard these words. In those days, it was never accepted or admitted that a son expects his father to give him his inheritance while he is living. When a son asks his father his inheritance, he is telling him, you are dead for me. And this is already the first pain that the father received when his younger son told him, I need my 1/3 of inheritance. The elder son had 2/3 because he was the firstborn, and the younger one had 1/3 of the inheritance. And so he already gave great pain to his father by telling him, give me my share, and I leave. The father didn't say anything. He accepted, he gave him his share, let him go. And we know how this young man spent his life. He spent all his money, and to make it even more look badly on the son, in the parable Jesus tells us that he went to work with pigs. A Jew, as you know, Jews do not eat pig. They consider themselves unclean if they touch a pig or eat pork. So to show the disgusting way of living that the son had lived with the money he spent with prostitutes and the rest, he also went to cater for pigs. Yeah. And then one moment in his life, there was a conversion of his life. And he said, why I am here? The servants in my father's house live better than me. At least they have a meal every day. I should go and tell my father, don't consider me anymore as a father. He understood what he did. He came to accept that he was helpless. The 12 steps of the AA in a rehabilitation program says the first step, you admit that you are helpless and that you need to go and ask forgiveness and ask help from God. That's the first step in the 12 steps program of any rehabilitation. All right? And he went. On the way, he was rehearsing what he has to say to his father. Father, I don't merit to be your son. Let me work as a servant in your household. On the contrary, his father was looking every day from the roof of his his home and his house, always hoping that his son, his lost son, will one day show up. And when he saw him coming, he did not wait for him to come to the door, to explain anything, to ask forgiveness. He went out of the house, out of his way, to go and embrace his son. Bring new clothes to him, embrace him. When his son started asking forgiveness, he didn't let him finish the statement of forgiveness. He just said, bring all the new clothes, go and kill the best calf that we have, and let's make a celebration, let's make a feast, because this son of mine was dead and now he is alive. And he embraced him. You know, saying this parable, no wonder that Christ scandalized those Pharisees and scribes and people who heard him at the time. It is never accepted by a father of his time, even today I would say, that a father would behave like that. Maybe the mother would go out of her way, would go and meet her son who has left or has deserted them, or he left his home. She would go out of the house and meet the son. But a father, in the patriarchal community of that time and this time, how a father would do today. He would let first the mother talk to the son, and then the father would say, don't you remember what you have done? Don't you realize what you have done? He would give him 2 words of warning and open his mind about, so that he would realize the grave sins he's acted, and then maybe he forgives him. That's how we behave, and that's how human beings behave. But God the Father does not behave like that. He went out of his day. He went out against the culture of his time, and he went to embrace the son who had left. And now we come to the elder. By the way, when the father went out of his way to meet his lost son, he was acting as a father and as a mother together. The sentiments of a mother are also the sentiments of God in our relationship. He has the compassion, the love of a mother for her child. And while we behave in our gender as a mother separate from and the father, God behaves both father and mother together in his relationship with us, to love us, to forgive us. And then we have the elder brother who considered himself a responsible person, who was always working. He loved his father. He never went out to enjoy himself with friends, was saying. He was accusing his father. He didn't even give a name to his brother. He didn't say my brother. He said, your son, not mine. This is not my brother. Your son, who has squandered all the money that you have given him with prostitutes. And then you treat him like this. And me, I'm staying here with. And what did the father answer? Even here, the father went out of his way to go and call his son, the elder son, who did not join in the feast. He went to look for him. He did not only look for the younger son, he went also for the elder son. Sorry, I'm a bit over the time, but just 1 minute more. He went out of his way to meet his elder son. And you tell him, you are here, what I have is yours. What are you grumbling about? What are you protesting? This is all yours. Don't be envious of your brother. Thank God. Make a feast, because he was dead and now he is alive. We behave very often in our lives like the younger son and the elder son. We very rarely behave like the father. And the behavior that we have, that the Father in heaven, our God, our Father, who always shows compassion on us, forgives us, and loves us. This is the way we should look at this parable every time we read it and remember it. Let's read together this prayer we have. God of remembering, I am sorry for the many times I have refused to remember the good and to remember my brokenness and that of others. I know that these failings are times when I have forgotten you and all that you have done in me and through me. I have not recalled my giftedness nor helped my brothers and sisters to realize theirs. I ask forgiveness. I ask that I might see beneath the surface of your creation and discover the goodness that awaits discovery and share. With the help of your Son and Spirit, I know your vision will become mine.